Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about. I gotta take a deep breath. Lucky Girl: How I Became a Horror Writer, a Krampus Story by M. Rickert. And this is from Tor, or Tor.com, as it says right there. You can't read that, that's blurry. So, this is, as it says, a Krampus story. Little tiny novella. Picked it up at Barnes & Noble after seeing somebody talk about it. It's got great people blurbing it. And this is the story of a woman named Ro. And one Christmas, she's alone. She's down on her luck character. And she meets 4 strangers at a diner and invites them over to her shabby little place for Christmas. They have what's supposed to be a cheap little gift exchange. And she suggests that they tell ghost stories. And so they do. And this leads to things happening. They agree to meet again the next year. And I don't know how much I want to say, but I will say this is a great story. I gave it 5 out of 5, I believe, on Goodreads. It is, interestingly, a story that spans decades. I did not expect that. It is a much broader story for such a little tiny book. Much broader story than I expected. And the characters are interesting in this short amount of time over such a great period of time. M. Rickert is able to build the characterization. And the story, for me, had the feeling, at least in the beginning, and some other parts, it felt like an old-timey ghost story. And it's not. It's, well, modern day-ish. Again, it spans decades, so some of it is not modern day, but modern. It's not like a Victorian ghost story or anything. But some of the passages, some of the parts had that feel for me, which I enjoyed, especially at one point. There's when one of the people is telling their ghost story, it felt like the way they were telling it felt like a Dickensian almost kind of ghost story. And this, let's see, which person is it? Elma Katsu in her blurb says there are stories within stories in this delicious Matryoshka doll of a novella. And that is a great blurb in my opinion, very accurate, because we do have, and it's not an anthology type of thing, and it's not a ghost story, Peter Straub's ghost story. It's not a book where we're reading everybody's little ghost story and those are the thing. We, in that initial Christmas, we only really read one person's ghost story because that's going to be the significant one. Hopefully that's not a spoiler. But it, because of the time frame it spans, maybe it's just different stories. I mean, it's all one story, all Ro is the one telling the story, and yet there are differentiations as the story goes along. One of the things that I really really like is, and I don't think this is a spoiler because you're never going to see it coming, but it's the fact that the author will just casually drop a bombshell. You're just reading along, enjoying your read. It's a bright, sunny day. You're on your walk. I don't know what kind of metaphor this is. And all of a sudden, boom, with no build-up, nothing to indicate that you're going to read the sentence that you just read. And I love that. It just comes out of nowhere. See, this is how it's not a spoiler, because you have no idea where it's going to happen or what it is. And it comes out of nowhere, and it's like, holy crap. What the hell did I just... What? This blows my mind. Love that. Absolutely love it. And it works so well. And it's, again, it's these stories within stories and moving forward and going to the past, not in a time travel way, but just the story is progressing over the decades, but we're learning about things from the past, if that makes sense. I don't know if any of this is making sense to anyone. Essentially, Ro is a horror, eventually in the book, a famous horror writer who has decades ago, met 5 strangers, invites them over for Christmas, potentially starts a tradition, and things happen. There's horror, and it's well written, it's well told, the characters are interesting, the bombshells drop without, how in like movies there's always that whistling sound that people hear as the bomb is coming. There's no whistling sound in this book. You have no idea that these bombs are coming, and it's great. So let's see. Do I need to describe the other characters? I mean, basically, you've got Ro. Again, she's down on her luck at the beginning of the book, and she, as I said, she meets these people at a diner. There's 2 men, 2 women. One of the I'll let you discover the characters and their dynamics by reading it, and you should. This is a great Christmas read, although, you can read it any time of year. I chose to do a little Christmas reading. Lucky Girl, How I Became a Horror Writer, a Krampus Story by M. Rickert. And yes, it is a Krampus story, even though I didn't mention Krampus at all in my little review. But well written, frightening, stunning, all around, just a really, really good book. I'm definitely going to have to check out and see what else M. Rickert has done. So there you go. That is Lucky Girl. I'm not going to do the whole title again, but I did write it all down in my little book. Lucky Girl by M. Rickert. 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Really, really happy with this book. I guess my question for this video will be a simple, do you have a favorite Christmas horror story, or novel, or even movie? We'll throw that in. But it's got to be horror for this particular question. For me, man, there's so many, and the one I always want to come back to, and I almost was going to reread this year, is Santa Steps Out by somebody. You're gonna watch me on my phone because I really want to give you the author's name, and it's just not coming to me at the moment. It's the first of a trilogy. I didn't know it when the first... Robert Devereaux. There you go. Robert Devereaux is the author. Santa Steps Out. I believe it was part of the Abyss line. I'm almost certain it was Dell. And it is crazy. It was not at all. I don't think the back cover copy prepared me for this over-the-top splatterpunk extreme Santa story. It's wild. And so that's the first one that always comes to mind for me. Although I have read some really good stuff like Lucky Girl. Last year I read Secret Santa. Is that what it was called? That was pretty good. Wasn't the greatest. And a short story collection of Christmas horror by Ronald Kelly that was pretty good. There's an anthology, Hark the Herald Angels Scream, that has some great stuff in it. But yeah, I think my go-to is going to be Santa Steps Out. And as far as movies, off the top of my head, the original Black Christmas um, is really good. And I don't have the sort of the well of Christmas horror movies in my bank. I don't know what I'm saying. I haven't seen all of the Christmas horror movies, so I can't dig as deep for a favorite. I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. If you want something to really bring you down for the holidays, it's a fantastic little movie, written and directed by Mike Lombardo. Um, I would love to get like a box set of the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies, and I want to see Violent Night that just came out, and I think there's one on Shudder, Christmas Bloody Christmas, something like that, or yeah, something like that. And there's Christmas Evil, and all those. There's tons of Christmas horror movies. And I have a couple more Christmas horror novel or books. I think they're novellas coming. I should have them before Christmas. Don't know if I'll get them read before Christmas. But anyway, do you have a favorite? Do you like Christmas horror? What's your favorite Christmas horror story, Christmas horror movie? Let me know in the comments below. As always, or excuse me, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. As always, comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is at Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I have. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.